Historian, and my area of study is actually Southeast Asia, but my minor was in Japanese art. And while I was working on my PhD at ASU, my son was about 10 or 11, and Pokemon was the big thing. And so I started talking to a few people and thought, gee, wouldn't it be fun to develop some classes about anime? So I've actually had the pleasure of teaching an anime class at ASU several times. And just in case any of you are going to ASU, in the fall of 2014, we'll be doing it as an online class. So you can keep that in the back of your mind. For another week, I'm also the current president of the Asian Arts Council at the Phoenix Art Museum, and I decided not to wear my t-shirt today. For those of you who don't know, the Phoenix Art Museum, starting on June 16th, is going to feature the art of video games. This is my song and dance, tap dance I promised to make. The Smithsonian show about the history of video games. So it's going to run through the middle of September. So for those of you who are interested in video games, please feel free to stop by and see the show. The catalog is fabulous. And I got to actually see the show in DC when they premiered it a couple years ago. It's a terrific show. It's a traveling show. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And they're going to show several films like Tron and a few others in conjunction with that, and have a lot of activities and speakers. So it'll be lots of fun. Okay. Today, I appreciate you all being here. This is exciting for me. We're going to talk a little bit about anime, and specifically, I'm assuming if I were to say, who of you are otaku, how many of you would raise your hand? Okay, you'll notice I didn't raise mine. When I teach or whenever I talk, I tell people, I am not otaku. I don't know the life story of every character in every film ever done. I do know a bit about a lot of films. So today we're gonna kind of take a little trip and talk about anime. Now, many of you know when you hear the term anime, which is actually, do you all know the French term for animation that got adopted in the 1980s following a joint Japanese-French production, really bad, called The Mysterious Cities of Gold. Any of you ever seen that one? Yeah, really bad. Okay. Really bad. Oh no, it's Olmec, Toltec, Aztec, Maya, Inca, all rolled into one, and of course they have giant flying gold pyramids. But anyway, before that we used to call it Japanimation, which was really too long of a word. So it was really nice when the term anime came into being. So I'm going to talk about that. I tend to use manga and anime interchangeably, so please excuse me if that bothers some of you. And we all know, I used to say, you know, it's one of those chicken and egg, you don't know which came first, but now that we know that dinosaurs came from eggs, and we're here before chickens, we know that it's the egg came first. So anyway, so I gave that up. But anyhow, many people, when you say this word anime, think immediately of our buddy Pikachu here, and tend to think that this idea of anime started with Pikachu. And last year, I know a couple of you were here, I gave a talk on the history of anime, so you know that that's not true. But that's those children's kind of cartoons, as Americans tend to think of them, are one thing a lot of people think about when they think about anime, or they hear the term anime. A lot of other people, especially those of us who watched a lot of anime in the 80s, know all about all those big flying robots, which I'm going to talk about on Sunday. So if you're here, come and hear me on Sunday. And in a lot of cases, they might think about something a little more traditionally Japanese, stories of samurai. For those of you who are true otaku, you know that this idea of anime and manga really cover all the genres, just like Hollywood films do. So we have comedies, we have romances, we have science fiction, We have kids' stories. We have horror. So pretty much you can find an anime in any of those genres. Some of them are rooted in, like the samurai, Japanese history, mythology, and Japanese religion, or in literature. And today we're going to talk about, I should show some of our traditional stories. Some of them are based on Western. Okay, we've got Miyazaki up here with, who's that? Oh, and don't, please, if you want to interrupt me when I'm talking, be my guest. So we have No Face up here with Chihiro or Sen from Spirited Away. Again, our sci-fi Gundam. Some of the most popular Japanese anime are actually rooted in Western literature and traditions. Vampire Hunter D. Japanese don't have vampires in the sense we have them here. And of course, this one predates the latest vampire craze that's going on. Or even they look at things a little more highbrow, like Les Miserables, which in the Japanese vernacular is Jean Valjean Monogatari, the tale of Jean Valjean. Today, we're going to take a look at some anime that have their roots in Western literature, specifically in the Lewis Carroll's story of Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. How many of you have read Alice? Okay, good. All right. We know Alice was published originally in November of 1865, and these are images from the original Sir John Tenniel illustrations from that initial publication. Through the Looking Glass was published in 1871. And these two books have been translated into more than 100 different languages. And actually, Lewis Carroll is the most quoted English-speaking author besides Shakespeare, which is kind of amazing when you think about this is a children's book. It was written during the Victorian age, designed to entertain children, not to teach them morality, not to teach them how to behave properly, but rather it was intended as a story for an acquaintance of Carol, a way to let her and other children kind of release their imagination and to explore this idea of possibilities and fantasy. And as you all know, Carol really captured kind of that chaotic, confusing world of a Victorian child.